God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
All right, Brother David.
What's up, my brother?
Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
How's life? Looking skinny?
Yeah, losing weight.
Yeah.
Just been on this fitness program.
That's right. Shout out Sucker Free.
Yeah, Big Luke over there holding
Big
it down. He really knows his stuff,
Yeah, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. That guy's freaking jacked.
Jacked, and he's got a lot of people jacked.
And he's diced.
Diced to the socks.
Yeah, he's hella funny.
Yeah.
He's pretty entertaining.
Yeah. That's part of his, I think that's part of like his marketing thing is just
For sure.
how entertaining it is.
Yeah.
But he says some real stuff in between,
Yeah, no, and he knows what he's talking about, and he knows what he's doing, obviously.
Exactly. Like the one thing that, I really gain respect on like getting to know him more is that he actually stands on his business.
Yeah.
And not to mention he's like completely anti-alcohol and drugs,
It's good.
So
yeah,
that's a good
shit's
thing.
trash.
Right, it is. And he calls out people on the program who are partying on the weekends, and like he was on it all weekend on everybody's helmet. I'm like, get on him.
Yeah.
Stay on him.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, like people do need to be held accountable, and they do need to recognize that the science out there, bro. The science is out there that alcohol is trash.
Trash.
It raises your estrogen. It lowers your testosterone.
Yeah.
It kills your sleep. It kills muscle growth. Basically everything that is life.
I know.
Everything that's connected to life, it literally annihilates.
I think it's just as bad as any other substance out there. It's looked upon differently because it's legal and so common, But honestly, alcohol has ruined more families than any other drug.
Facts. Yeah.
So and ruined many good men.
Yeah.
And almost took me out.
100%.
I've felt that spirit. And that's they call it a spirit.
For a reason.
It is.
Yeah.
It allows spirits in, and it's got a spirit within itself.
Right.
It's a powerful intoxicant.
Yeah. I remember like getting out of rehab, and I just started like drinking again, and that's when I really like started to recognize like the dangers of alcohol, dude. Next thing I notice, I'm calling people I shouldn't be calling.
Yeah.
I'm thinking things I shouldn't be thinking.
Yeah.
Like head in the toilet, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like my morals and my standards were really high, and then they went into the toilet. Explain that, in an instant.
Yeah. It
changes you.
It does. It changes your frontal cortex, and it takes away that impulse control, the decision making, like all that stuff just goes out the window.
Yeah.
And you're just like so relaxed and having a good time,
Right.
and just like you just make very bad decisions, and you look like an idiot, sloppy drunk. Like you think you're funny, and you think you're cool, and you think you're tough, and you're an idiot.
You're not. Yeah.
You look like a dummy.
We're over here bashing alcohol. And that's what we do. We're
No,
not.
I
We're,
mean-
we're here to make sobriety look cool.
This
And
is the thing about it, bro, is like alcohol within itself, there's nothing wrong
Right.
with it. And I don't have a problem with people drinking alcohol.
No.
If you can control it, and like that's just something you have to be honest with yourself about.
Yeah.
Like how much are you drinking, and does it have a negative effect on your life?
Yeah.
I mean, my mother is a perfect example, bro. Like she is a normal drinker. Like my whole life, she went probably years without drinking, and would have a glass of wine here, a glass of wine there. Never saw her drunk,
Something
and
you
we'll
can't-
we'll have a few glasses of wine with company, like just very moderate drinking. That kind of drinking, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, for sure.
But you have to be honest with yourself about it. And the truth is, most of us have a hard time being honest with ourselves about it.
100%.
And if you're drinking until you're drunk, that's a red flag. If you're waking up hungover, it's a red flag. If you're missing, things in your life that you shouldn't be missing, whether it's work or, appointments or, relationships or your children's games, or if it's affecting your life in ways that you wish it wouldn't, you need to take a look at it. If if you're not able to stop when you start, like if you think you're just going to go out for a couple beers and you end up drunk and at your boy's house and you got a bag, and you know, if you can't stop once you start, that's a serious red flag.
And yeah, that's what we're bashing. You know, we're not bashing anybody who's able to. If there's no negative effect in your life from alcohol, then that's honestly, there's not really much to say there. But there is a lot of negative effects in the outcome. You know, it's not what goes in the body that defiles you, it's what comes out, Jesus said. And that's so true, especially in that, like, we cannot stop. Me and you will not stop where your mom stops and being moderate drink. We just can't.
No, I can't.
We've tried it over and over and over again. And that's how I just know, like, it's a setup. I see right through the facade. I can't just have a drink on Memorial Day. I can't go out to the lake and have a few beers. You know, I can't do it.
No.
Eventually, it leads me down this road, this path where I end up miserable again.
Yeah.
It doesn't even mean like everything just went to waste, but I end up in a miserable, dry spot. I feel more disconnected from God. I fall off of like any service or passion for service, and it's just, it all kind of just gets wiped, and here you are back at square one. I'm done with that, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just holding it down today, and that's all I need to do. That's the beauty of it, man.
100%.
Just today.
And my mom is like a very small percentage of people that can truly drink like that. You know, I would say it's pretty small. And this is the thing, bro, is like, it's just not even worth it. Like the negative repercussions compared against like the positives that you might get from alcohol, it's not even worth ever even trying. Yeah. Just like all of these drugs, like God has blessed you with, you know, a sound mind and body. You don't need anything else. You know what I mean? Just because other people say you do, or because it's what everybody in society is doing, your friends do it, that doesn't mean that you need to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I wish I would have never done it. You know, it would have saved me a lot of pain if I had never picked 100%. Up ever. You know, and it ruins many people, like we said. But with that being said, you know, for those out there struggling with alcohol, like, dude, I know what that feels like. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know what it freaking feels like to just be owned by that bottle. Like, just cannot put it down, straight up powerless, like body, liver failing, stomach bleeding, vomiting every day. You know, heart problems, just like miserable, spending all of my money on it. No money that I have, you know what I mean? Spending my last, if I have $5, $4 of it is going to vodka, and I might have, you know, $1 for a cheeseburger like later in the day. That's where it goes, bro.
Yeah, your priorities are just ass backwards, for lack of better words, man. Honestly, it's very sad. And you know, I know more than one person close to me who's suffering right now because of the consequences of alcohol. One of them being my brother, you know, and it's a really sad thing. He got pulled. He's ripped away from his family, you know, and that's the consequences. And it's stories like that, man, that just give me this righteous, deep hatred for the alcohol. You know, it really does, and it increases my compassion for those who are suffering in it. Yeah, you know, and that's what we intend to do here. You know, if we can just help one person, if we can just be encouraging to one person to take that leap of faith, because it's a scary thing, sobriety. We've played this part and this fake person and someone that we are not our whole lives. We did that our whole lives. We covered up how we felt our entire lives. And when you step into that unknown of like, hey, I don't know how I'm going to deal with the things that I got going on inside me, it's a very scary thing. Yeah. But you are not alone. There are like-minded individuals out there who walk the beaten path of recovery day by day, who walk the walk and talk, you know, not just talk the talk, but they literally walk it and live it. And there's an abundance of these people. In an abundance of counselors, there's victory. It says that in the book of Proverbs, and you don't have to go at it alone. You know, that's the beauty of it. Like, you were a big encouragement for me to stop, you know, vaping and stuff, dude. It's like, bro, you ain't living out your full potential when you're burning back a blunt on the weekends or on the weekdays. And for me, it got out of hand, dude. I was sun up to sundown. I'm hitting up the stizzy. You know, it ain't stopping. And that's how you know it's like abnormal, you know. There's people out there that can just smoke on the weekend, but that ain't me, bro. I'm gonna wake up puffing the pen.
Yeah. And yeah, and it's with all things, you know.
For sure.
It's not just alcohol or weed, you know, it's food and porn and, you know, all money, like it's all those vices,
Right.
you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, one of the issues with alcohol is that it works, bro. You know, like when you're feeling bad, it'll change the way you feel. When you're feeling good, it'll amplify that mood.
Same
Like,
with weed.
yeah, same with weed. And it's like, you know, I got to the point where it was just like, I didn't like my life so much that I was just trying to constantly stay like under the influence, you know, just like
Yeah.
change the way that I felt, you know, and it works and it's cheap and it, you know, and it changes the way that you feel and you can drink until oblivion, you know, you can drink until you're pissy drunk and you're not even in
I
reality.
don't even care.
Yeah, you don't even care. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's the thing. It's so readily available and acceptable. Yeah, that's the big danger of it is just how acceptable and available it is. You know, it's a society.
Yeah.
You can be that drunk guy at the bar and no one's gonna really. But you know, if you're nodding off of fentanyl in the street corner, people are judging you, looking at you funny.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that's like the underground. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, alcohol is the real gateway drug. You know, it gets the ball rolling. It's pretty much most people's first drug. You know what I mean? And it always leads to other stuff. You know, like you hang out in those places and around people that are partying. It always starts with liquor, and then you know the bag comes out, and then your impulse control and your all that is down, and all of a sudden you're willing to try other things.
Right, a line of Coke all of a sudden sounds fantastic.
Yeah, or you're just curious and you're not in your right thinking.
I mean, the decision making, like you said, it just goes, everything goes out the window. You can be someone that your whole life was like, okay, I'm not doing Coke. You have these standards and these moral boundaries. If you're feeling the right tipsiness and you're around the right people, because some people are really persuasive, bro. That are in that circle, hey, you know, this and that.
I was that guy. I'd love to get people to do drugs with me.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to. Hey, misery loves company.
Well, I just love to party too,
Yeah,
you
that
know.
too.
And it's just like, you know,
That too.
I'm having a great time. I want you to have a great time. You ever tried this? You know, or you want to do some of this?
This will make your time
let's
much better.
Let's party. You know. Yeah,
that's
dude.
so true.
I know.
Dirt bags.
I know.
Yeah, we over there spread.
Yeah, I mean, there was no ill intent. You know, it was just like
looking
it's
back,
how it is. Yeah. You know, you just partying and doing dumb
that's
stuff.
true.
Dude.
Especially, I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's so hard for me to like explain to like an 18, 19-year-old things.
Yeah.
So like, bro, I know exactly what mindset you have.
I know.
I was washed. Like there was no telling me anything at that age. If myself now came and talk to myself, you know, me at 19, like, bro, it
wasn't listening.
It would not register.
Yeah, I know.
It wouldn't.
I know. Thankfully, you know, all kids are different, you know, and they all make their own choices, and you never really know what they're gonna do. You know, we got a 15-year-old in the house, and pretty good kid. You know, he has all the reasons not to be. You know, didn't come from like the best, most stable house. You know, and has had some issues, and you know, and has all the reasons to have gone off. You know, and he's pretty. He's a good kid. You know, he's got a good heart, and he tries. You know, and he minds, and he does what he's asked, and he cares, you know, and that's more than I could say for myself when I was 15 and a half. You know, I was already using narcotics and like really didn't care what other people had to say, you know. I didn't care what other people had to say before that. Like middle school is when I was like, I don't even care anymore. You know, I was flunking out of middle school. Like I should have never passed middle school. Yeah. You know, I had disconnected from like the power structure. You know, no longer cared what adults had to say, you know, and was just going to do my own thing and figure it out, you know. And I wanted things. Like I wanted to play sports and I wanted to do something with my life, but I wasn't listening to nobody, you know? I didn't have, I don't know, man. Like I said, everybody's different, you know? It's just like, it's the path that I went down, you know? But
Yeah, that's true. Not all kids, obviously. There's some really good kids out there.
I wish I would have been in church, bro. You know?
I grew up in church, and I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what? The church that I like, Bethany, bro, like it was kind of, there was some ghetto aspects about it, bro. People, like on the New Year's like parties that they would have there, like New Year's church celebrations, like someone got stabbed in the bathroom there.
Yeah.
Like there were some thugs running around that place, and actually, no, some of those people like ended up going places in like the criminal world and getting locked up and getting killed and like crazy stuff, bro.
Yeah.
From that church, so not that's not always the answer either, but it's better than, I'd say hopefully in most cases better than the routes that we were just embarking on.
It's all good though. Man.
Yeah.
You know, I needed those lessons and I needed those mistakes, and
For sure.
I survived.
Yeah.
You know, I made it out.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, you know.
No, praise the Lord. I mean, you got a good amount of sobriety under your belt. You know, you're doing your thing. Shout out Lord's Gym Auburn, like that popped off. Honestly, really proud of you for that. I remember when it was just a seed in your mind, you're expressing yourself on what you want to do, and here it is. Came to fruition, dude.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've been able to just accumulate what it took to structure that. It takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of finances.
Yeah.
And that's something most people don't have nowadays, bro. Like,
yeah, it takes a lot of balls too to fucking just gamble it on yourself and God too, and like really put that faith in it and be like, it's not just about me. This is, to glorify Christ and like do something for the community, and for myself, obviously too, and my family, and like, more income and the whole thing. It is a business, you know what I mean? But it's more than that, just like it's more than a gym, you know what I mean? It's not just about fitness. It's about spiritual and mental, it's about growth as a community and coming together and lifting each other up, and yeah, man, it's been a blessing, and it's just getting started, and it's been kind of tough dude, it's been super tough. It's like, so, all of my savings, like dump into this thing, just like, here we go,
Run it.
and and it is what it is. Anybody that starts a new business, like it's stressful especially a second company. Like I just got so much going on, bro.
Yeah, I bet.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Throw all these kids, and my wife's pregnant, and
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got so much going on. It's such a blessing, though.
It is.
And it's a test of faith too. It's like, and I had this conversation with Sam too. It's like, when it comes to finances, it's like I put all my faith in God, but also like I have to control what I can control, And so it's like, where does that start and end with God, and trusting and being in control and asking for, blessings and asking for opportunity. That's pretty much all I do is like I seek opportunities,
Right. For
I
sure.
ask God to present me with opportunities,
Yeah, I mean, you're able-bodied, able-minded.
Yeah.
If there's one person that I know who could piece this together and pull through and make it successful, it's
Yeah.
you, and it's
Yeah.
not just you. Obviously, it's your higher power, the Lord Jesus. Like
Yeah.
when God is on your side, who can stand against? And
Yeah, I know. And this gym is it's to glorify God. I mean, it's the Lord's gym. You know what I mean? Like we put his name on it. Like it's not only is it blessed by him, but it's like I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make it work, because I don't want to freaking fail and everybody be like, "Oh, look, the Lord's gym closed down," like it would be like I feel like it would be like a failure for God,
Mm-hmm.
and I that's like the last thing I ever want to do,
Yeah.
So, it's just an extra push, but, it's a test of faith because it's like, you know, again, I want to control everything. And I'm not even in control. I'm not even there every day, you know.
No.
I also gambled on my partner, you know, like the manager that was there every day, like running the whole thing, you know. So it's like having faith and trust in him, and then having faith and trust in God that like he'll present us with, you know, the right, you know, he'll present his sheep, right, and bring the flock in and bring people here and the people that need help too, you know, and that'll all work out the way that it's supposed to, you know, and I get that reassurance all the time, like through the word that I read, you know, it's always just like have faith and patience and trust, and you know, if it's ordained by God, it will be. You know what I mean? Like there's really nothing to worry about,
Right.
you know, and stress really doesn't do a whole lot. Like it'll get you off your butt and like try to find solutions. You know, that's what's good about stress, but just sitting around stressing ain't going to do anything. You know, it's just going to trip you out.
Yeah, faith without works is dead. And
Yeah.
that's one of the aspects of that saying in that verse is like, dude, you can sit down and just wait for God all you want.
Yeah.
You know, but if you, like I said too, like if you're able bodied and you're able to, you know, God's he wants to see you some footwork.
Yeah.
There's some footwork to be had, and you know, you're gonna do it, bro. I have complete faith in God and in you that it's possible. You know, all things are possible, and just seeing the fruits of it now, like you got the groups, you know, starting in there. What is it, NA and Bible studies, and just like there's already a community gathering, and you know, a lot of work happening there. You know, sobriety stuff
too.
AA. You know, you got some good people coming in the doors willing to, you know, run some of these meetings and stuff. It's honestly just a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, I know. It's the start of a real blessing for sure. And it is grown. Like, I mean, we're on the right track, you know. It's just like
some memberships coming in the door.
Yeah, no, we've been growing steadily, you know.
Nice.
We have like, you know, we're trying to get to like 300 members. Yeah. Trying to get profitable, you know.
Sure.
And so once we're there, it'll be smooth sailing. It's just getting it going. But it's like, you know, we're only not even 2 months in.
Right.
So it's like, I knew it was going to be like this, where it's like pressure to get it to where we want it, you know. And now we're here, and it's just, I'm just feeling it a little bit. But it's all good, dude.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, you know.
Pressure makes diamonds.
And God has blessed me with like these good jobs in construction. So it's like, you know, I'm not struggling. It's just like, you know, just goals and ambitions.
Goals and ambitions, and you know, if it aligns with God, that's the hardest part. You know, like people who get amounts of success and they kind of piece together a lot of, you know, finances, and they make a lot of moving parts work together really well, and you know, to make that all align with God is kind of hard. Yeah. Because a lot of people begin to veer off into their own understanding, their own way of thinking. And, you know, like people always say, money changes people. It's one of the most truest things. And one of the people that I didn't see it change much is you, bro. Like you honestly kind of just been the same in your, since I gotten out of rehab and reconnected with you and seen you and your sobriety. Your bag wasn't that deep when I first got out of rehab, and then you got more success and you were doing more things, pulling bigger projects together, and I only seen you grow closer to God.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people, they begin to draw away from God.
Yeah.
I'd say most people do that, bro.
Yeah, I think no, it's hard, man. Like the society will pull you away, you know, and will distract you, and money is distracting. You know, and the chasing of money is distracting, you know. But dude, like being part of these programs keeps me grounded, you know, and like being grounded in recovery, I'm able to remember, you know, like I'm able to remember where I came from and remember like what that felt like and remember what I'm doing this for, you know. And because I've stayed freaking 10 toes down in this recovery thing, like with God from the day one. Like I sought God day one, asked him to come into my life and have like been on this relationship. And it's been daily, bro. And he's continued to bless me as I grow in my faith and grow in my ability to take on more responsibilities and like, you know, these bigger projects and a family and all these things that you've seen me get, you know, like I know where these blessings are coming from. You know what I mean? And I've made the conscious decision to try to align my will with God's will, you know? And that's why, like, when I first wanted to open a gym, I just wanted to open a gym, you know? And then I put thought into it and prayed about it. And then it was like, okay, well, how will this align with God's will? You know? And then boom, he puts Pastor Doug in my life.
Yeah.
Just like that, bro.
Testimony of
That's
its own.
100%. And that's just how my walk has been, bro. Like when I try to align my will with his and I'm on the right path and like, you know, in the flow, he puts the right people in my life. And here's another testimony, this 100-miler I just did. Like I have these dreams and ambitions, right? I have these like ideas and like I'll put the ball in motion and start doing these things. And I don't know what it's going to take to run 100 miles. You know, I think I might, like I've watched some YouTube videos, like, you know, I'm one of those guys and I just feel like I could do it, you know? And God blesses me with two Christian men that have run long distances. This kid, Chris McBride, you know, has run 100 miles before, is Christian, Brad's friend,
Yeah.
you know, and God just placed him in my life. And this guy gave me, you know, such good advice and gave me his trekking poles and paced me the last 25 miles. And the guy that paced him paced me also for a little bit, Tony, who just gave his life to Christ also. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we've just been incredibly blessed with these Christians on my journey in sobriety. And it's all because I chose to align my will with God's will. And like, he puts these people in my life at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, and he knows my ambitions and like where I'm trying to go in my life. And he's willing and capable of anything. Right. And he wants me to succeed. And he's, you know, when you seek, you'll find, right? And when you put yourself in alignment with the creator of the universe and you're in lockstep and willing to glorify him with your success, anything is possible, bro.
For sure.
You know, but it's all about giving him the glory.
Yeah.
You know, and being a testimony to his power in your life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I continue to flourish on this journey is by giving glory to him and by seeking his will in my life.
I mean, 100 bands, bro. Like, it's still like, I mean, I watched you swim across Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
You made that. And that was right after you ran around Lake Tahoe. You made that. Like, I knew that you're definitely capable of it, but I'm like, when is your body going to break?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to just collapse? Like, I know you're capable up here.
Yeah.
I had no doubt. I'm like, can this guy's body hold up? Can his flesh hold up to this? And lost some toenails and some stuff.
No, I held up pretty good. You know, I had some breathing problems after like mile 30. I started to get some wheezing again. So I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure.
From the cold?
I'm not sure. I had it on that Tahoe run too. So that's a little bit concerning. But I mean, other than that, my body held up fine. I mean, I probably wasn't in like really good enough shape to like really be running 100 miles. I think I was closer to probably like 100K shape, which is like 60 something miles. Cause I gave like my last push of an effort. Cause you know, there's timelines. You have to make these checkpoints and like, you have to be there at a certain time or else they take you off of the run.
They
you know?
yank you. Huh?
Yeah. They pull you.
Really?
And so, you know, and I was like 30 to 45 minutes under these timelines the whole time, you know? So all night long, like I'm fighting the clock, bro, like running, you know, like trying, like huffing and puffing, bro, you know? And like when you're all alone out there in the dark, like running through the night out in the woods on these trails and, you know, my headlight wasn't great And that was a mistake of mine. I had bought a new headlight the day before, hadn't tried it. Rookie mistake. And so I was kind of struggling with that. And like, your brain just starts, you know, throwing you excuses, bro. Just like,
For sure.
why it's okay to quit, or like why it's gonna be okay if you can't make the time. Oh, you're having trouble breathing. Oh, your headlight. Oh, this. Oh, that. You know,
Yeah.
poor me. You know, and you know, I just get to the point where I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna give it my all.
Yeah.
And if I fail, I fail.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna fail for lack of effort.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna bust my butt and I'll die trying. You know what I mean? And I freaking hustled and I made every freaking checkpoint. And yeah, I got to cool in the morning and I picked up Tony, one of the pacers, and that I had a hard last push with him coming in at like mile 75, mile 80, and got enough like extra time with that push. And then Chris picked me up and we finished the race together. And there were still a couple more checkpoints, but I had, you know, I was pretty much in the clear from that point. But dude, I mean, I've hiked probably the last, I don't even know, 15, 20 miles. Like,
For sure.
it was mostly uphill, like just brutal stuff, and I was smoked, bro. I was done. The chafing in my crotch was so bad. My lungs were just jacked. My feet were jacked. I was in rough shape.
Yeah.
By the time we got to like the road in Auburn to get to the finish line, every step hurt, bro. It was like just not, I wouldn't say excruciating, but it was painful. Like every step hurt. I was just a mess, you know? And yeah, but it felt great to finish, you know? And like,
Sure.
it was, you know, dude, I spent all winter out here training.
I seen that.
Late nights, bro, running in the dark, in the rain. You know, I'm a busy guy and like I don't have a ton of time to train, you know? And so it's like I work all day and family and everything we got going on, and then I'll run late at night, you know, just because I that's like when I have time to myself. And I'm not a huge morning guy. I don't like to get up super early. I'd rather stay up later and train. You know, but there was many nights, dude, where I'm out there, didn't want to be out there. It's freaking raining. I'm wet and cold in the dark. Like, and I remembered those times, you know, and I'm like, I'm not doing all that for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I spent a lot of time out on that stupid road and like out in the woods out there.
On the grind.
On the grind, dude. And I got poison oak real bad. My freaking leg was just all swollen.
From the run?
Yeah, it was nasty.
You were brushing
bro.
up against, what are you running through? Running
It was
through
all
some
over the
bushes?
place out there.
Those
It was-
trails get pretty tight and stuff.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh my god. How many runners?
Horrible.
We're with-
300 started, about 300, and I think 160 finished.
Okay.
So about half didn't make it,
Yeah.
which is a lot, bro. That's 140 plus people that had the ambition to run this 100
For sure.
miles that didn't make it.
So what place did you make it time wise in that people have made it? Did they tell you?
About 155th.
You were dang.
Yeah.
There's
I think I was like 4th or 5th from last.
Yeah, so there's some of these guys that's just who they are.
Dude, the winner did it in 16 hours.
Somebody needs to check that guy.
Bro.
He took some shortcuts or something.
Dude, I'm not joking you. Like this is some of the steepest terrain that you can like run down for sure. But like just let alone hiking, like it's tough to hike that stuff, you know? And this guy's running sub 7-minute miles for 100 miles. It's almost unbelievable.
I don't even believe it.
They're running up these hills, bro.
I think this guy's a liar, dude.
And they have to be doing like 5-minute miles downhill. I mean, they have to just be
Yeah, full on
screaming.
sprint. You're ripping down the, especially at night too, bro.
Crazy. And this is like not easy.
Yeah,
Like it's
some terrain.
lightweight, treacherous, bro.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's difficult to hike.
Intense. And then you have to stop. Like you have to stop at these stations and like drink. You have to maintain your calories, bro.
Oh, for sure.
This isn't just a sprint. you know, like
no.
you have to be maintaining calories and maintaining hydration. So they just got to be in and out and still maintaining a 7-minute per mile pace.
Insanity.
It's literally
Who is this
incredible.
guy, dude?
It's incredible, bro.
That's okay.
I spent like the week after that, like watching these professionals, like in these, like professional runs. Because UTMB, the people that hosted the event, they're like a real professional organization. They, you know, that's like where it's a professional series of runs. You know,
Right.
that ends up like the big run is in Europe. And it's pretty wild, you know. But you watch the videos of these guys, and they are running up those mountains, bro. Just running. Incredible.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, you don't have a runner's physique, bro.
No, I went into that race 2:15.
Yeah, chonky.
Chonker. You know, lifting every day.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You're not a runner, dude. So that's, I don't know. And I don't know how many of those guys are working a blue collar job with a bunch of kids, you know, and running a business, but maybe some of them I'm sure are, but that's just
Not many.
You know,
Yeah.
it's an accomplishment in and of its own. I'm sure the guy who made
It's all mental, bro. That's the thing is like, yeah, I mean, you obviously have to be in good enough shape, you know, and it's not something that you can do if you don't train, obviously. But
man.
like, it's all, if you're in good enough shape, it's all mental, you know, because your body's gonna throw you excuses and you're gonna have issues and all that, and it's just like, are you capable of persevering through those dark times? And not only that, but are you willing to push, bro? Because there was a lot of pushing. Like, I was huffing and puffing, dude. You know, like trying, you know, for 34 hours, bro.
Insane. What's that mile average? Like
Slow.
12? Yeah, well, 12 minute miles or whatever.
I think it's closer to like 15 or more.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I just can't, because 7-minute mile, like that's just insane to just accomplish 1 mile at 7 minutes. But averaging 7 minutes a mile throughout an entire 100-mile run,
That's incredible.
I can't. I still having trouble wrapping my head around it. I don't think the guy lied. Obviously, they monitor you guys.
Oh yeah,
pretty
no,
well.
it's all
Yeah.
GPS monitored.
Yeah, so they know if you swiv them or not. But that's I'd like to shake the dude's hand and get to meet someone like that, bro.
and
Like,
dude, there was weather too. I mean, it rained half of the time, you know. So there was a point on Saturday where it was pouring rain, bro. It was just dumping rain, freezing cold.
you know, it was so
People were like in emergency blankets, like freaking shivering.
Nah, what was the like kind of like I had to check myself. I was getting a little uncomfortable. I forgot I was like working or I was outside and I was getting a little wet and I was getting uncomfortable and kind of moody and I just remembered like my boys running a 100-mile run right now. That was literally that night, bro.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, I can't complain about anything.
I know.
I just imagine what he's going through in this moment. I'm over here complaining, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it just goes to show, man. Like, dude, we get too comfortable with things, and it's really good to get out of that comfort zone, you know?
Yeah,
That's
no,
why
definitely.
I continuously surround myself with people more and more who make me feel uncomfortable in my own skin in a good way. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's a really good thing. That's why I always tell this to people. Like, if you want to level up in life and get after something and goals, man, get around you some people who are like that. Mm-hmm. And if you're having trouble finding those people, you need to search for them because they're out there.
They're out there.
They're out there. You need to go in the right places at the right time. You know what I mean? They're easy to find, bro.
Yeah.
Because I found them. You know.
Yeah, and like for me and my journey with that, I was like, I just started aiming at those things. You know, like. Yeah. I made these decisions. Like, I want to do this, you know, like I want to be this guy. Okay, well, how do I do that? You know, and like, it's just been a journey of self-discovery. And then you find those people along the way.
That's
you know,
true.
You'll find the contractors, you'll find the endurance guys, you'll find, you know, guys like Big Luke. Like, God will put these people in your life when you're on that path, right?
True.
You go down the path and it'll be illuminated for you.
Yeah.
You got to get on the path first, though.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna. It's not just gonna happen. Like you have to be walking down that path, and then God will illuminate the path.
That is true.
You know, and it goes back to that faith and trust too. Like same with recovery, dude. Like I didn't know how to do any of this. You know, I didn't know how to get and stay sober. Like I had seen it, you know, and I had been a part of these recovery rooms, but I had never really walked the straight and narrow, you know, and I was just willing to do whatever it took to change, you know, and I just wanted to follow God and like be of service and live this life, you know. And so I'm just like one day at a time, you know, just what can I do today, you know, and like where do I want to be and have these goals and ambitions, right? And be headed that way, but trying to do the next right thing day after day, and God will illuminate the path and put the right people in front of you and open the right doors, and it's up to you to walk through them.
Yeah, it's so
you know,
true.
He'll give you the opportunity, but you have to take advantage of it.
For sure.
You know, you have to put the work in.
It goes back to that leap of faith, man. You know,
Yep.
step into that unknown towards a good, positive goal with positive ambition.
Yeah.
And you know, with God behind you, it's a really blessed thing, and the doors do open. And you know, like right now with my business and company, you know, like I think everybody's feeling it right now. It's just slow. It's a weird time. People are reserved. They want to hold on to what they got.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, it's off to a slow start, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even tripping. For one, I'm not desperate. Thank God. I have a regular job.
Yeah.
I have more than enough to provide for my needs and to help others as well, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing. Like I want things to take off the rocker first year, but it's not gonna happen that way.
Yeah.
There's so many expenses like running a legit contracting business, and I'm really starting to feel like, okay, I made $1.5 grand, but you know, I got to kick up to the insurance and then kick here and kick there. And then there's the fat chunk that goes to the IRS. Like you got to calculate all this in your mind.
It's about half, bro. About half is gone.
Yeah, I showed you the number. It's about that. Yeah. If you add everything together, it's a good half of your money. Yeah. Especially when you got when you start getting employees and trucks and this and that. You know, my brother runs, you know, he's been really successful in contracting. He said it's like 15% when you really look at it, what it is.
Profit margin. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's a pretty standard number across most businesses. Like if you're making a 15% profit margin on selling things or just as a total, like you're doing okay. It's a decent profit margin to make. It's just, you know, it's hard, dude. It's hard. This is a hard state to do it in too.
Oh man, the whole everything just wants to shut your doors and close you down, man.
Yeah.
It's not a business friendly state, especially to contractors, dude.
Yeah.
Like you can get lined up real quick by the state and by the contractors board. There's so many things that can go wrong.
Definitely.
But you know, I started this thing like going into this unknown and not knowing how am I even gonna get this license. And I remember getting frustrated and going through the motions of that. Now I have it, and now I'm concentrating on just getting jobs and completing them. And by the grace of God, I'm doing these things, and I've grown a lot in this. You know, I'm being shown how to like I remember. So I was like, okay, God, I just got my contractor's license. Like, I bless you, I need wisdom, dude. And I remember just stepping on and looking at certain things, and I'm like, dude, for some reason, I got the wisdom. And so I'm just a little bit, I noticed it, but I'm like, how did I know that? And I called it, like right then and there. Like, it was an issue, and I called it. And it's like, you know, God just blesses you when you are walking that unknown, you know, and there's a lot of uncertainty because it's just, dude, He loves when you put your faith in him. Mm-hmm. He loves it. That's exactly that's pretty much a good part of his will, bro, is to leave it in his hands and to embark on a road to him, you know?
Yeah.
And then the opportunities, like you said, when they're presented, you become the man that are able to jump on those opportunities and walk through those doors. Yeah. It's not just handed to you at the same time. Things do get given to you, and he does bless you and gift you with talents and ways to, you know, figure stuff out. Amen. Yes and amen. But you gotta, there's definitely some pushing that needs to be done. Yeah. And I'm feeling it, you know. I'm sure you are too, you know.
Yeah. And you know, it's about it's about the journey, you know what I mean? And it's about the day-to-day grind and
Yeah.
the progress, you know, whether it's, you know, these long endurance events and like the training that goes into that, or, you know, like you're doing with fitness and all that. Like, it's about who you become through, you know, this endurance event of life,
Yeah.
you know, and we make ourselves better when we're on the path, you know, when we're disciplined with everything, right? When we're disciplined enough to maintain a diet, when we're disciplined enough to maintain our finances correctly, when we're disciplined enough to maintain these exercise routines, like you're making yourself better, you know, and that translates into all areas of your life, you know. And yeah, man, it's a journey, you know, and it's about progress, you know, and it's about making yourself better, you know, and when you're making yourself better every day, better things are going to happen in your life. You know, you're putting yourself in a position to be able to take on more responsibility. You know, when you're building your character, when you're building yourself up as a man, and you're getting more in line with God's will in your life and the character development, you know, dude, I couldn't handle any of this 10 years ago.
No.
You know, this has been a character development journey to get to this place where I can withstand this type of pressure, you know, because this type of pressure, these types of responsibilities would have crumbled me 10 years ago.
sure.
I couldn't handle a regular job, bro. I couldn't show up to a 9 to 5 without being loaded.
Yeah.
You know,
we both ruined a few of those opportunities. for sure.
exactly. So, you know, this personal development journey has been the key. And it started with recovery and like wanting to be better, you know, and then seeking God in my life and seeking mentors and seeking that wisdom, you know, through literature and the Bible and YouTube, and looking at these mentors and these key speakers and, you know, these personal development guys and what are they talking about, and like really trying to brainwash myself in personal development,
Yeah.
you know, and like start practicing it and like looking at these successful people and trying to mimic their behavior.
Yeah.
You know, like what are they doing? You know, and why are they successful? And what are the things that they're doing that sets them apart? You know, and a lot of them do the same things. You know, they all have morning routines. They all, you know, have faith in their life. They all have family. They all have, you know, they're very good with their time management.
Yeah, that's
they're
a
very good with their finances. They, you know, care about their relationships. You know, they surround themselves with winners. They pay attention to their diet, their exercise, their food, you know, their sleep. Like they try to optimize all these areas of their life.
Yeah.
You know, that's what all these, and they're positive and they freaking manifest.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's, you know, that's what I try to do. You know, like this thing with the gym, bro, we manifested that. You know, like we thought of it, then we put a plan together, put it on paper. Okay, how can we do this? Pray about it, think about it, manifest it, dude. And one step in front of the next, and all of a sudden, here we are. The gym is here, bro. It's
Running
open.
and gunning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see the posts and I see the growth in it already. It's amazing.
And you could do it with anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what I chose to do, you know, but I'm no better than anybody, you know, like I've just chosen to, you know, walk this path and try to, you know, follow God and what's his will in my life, you know, but if you're willing to do the same thing, you can have whatever you want, dude.
For sure.
You know, if you're willing to put the work in and like be diligent and seek God and seek help and do the right things, you can do. I mean, Jesus said this, you can do greater things than I, right? Like we're incredibly powerful beyond our own understanding.
Yeah.
You know, if you can really be in harmony with the Creator and like really focus, and that's one of the biggest things is focus.
Yeah.
because it's especially in today's age,
Oh,
like
man.
it's so hard to focus.
So many
I have
distractions.
so many different things pulling me at the same time.
100%.
You know, and I've chosen this way of life. Don't get me wrong. Like I could have a much simpler life, you know, but I choose to like be involved in society, and I choose to be involved in this like paper chase and the church and recovery and have a big family and all of these things, right, that draw my attention, but I like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to love chaos, bro. Like I was addicted to the chaos of the streets.
Yeah.
I love the drama on the Coke block. I love all that craziness, bro. So now I try to stay so busy in recovery that I'm just like almost overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I feel good under pressure. You know, like I have to do something. I have things to show up for. You know what I mean? I have to perform. If I don't perform, things are going to go bad for multiple people, you know? Like there's people counting on me
For sure.
to succeed, you know? And I like that pressure, and it not only does it force me to be a better man, but it forces me to seek God too, because I know that I'm not really in control, bro. You know, it forces me to have that faith and that trust and to seek him and to glorify him and to rely on him, because I don't have the power to do all this and to be able to control any of this. You know, it's him in my life. You know, it's his hand in my life guiding me and my family in this direction and like upholding us in hard times, you know, and like withholding us in good times, you know, and it's his hand in our life. You know, and it's just me just like trying to do my best, you know, to like hold it together and like hold up my end of the bargain, you know, like put the work in, right?
Yeah.
That's that serenity prayer, you know, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, you know,
Right.
courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, you know,
Yeah.
show me where I can put the work in and give you the control of the rest,
Yeah.
you know, and give me the wisdom to see the difference.
Yeah.
Just like the finances, right? Like, give me the wisdom to see what I can control and what I can't.
Yeah.
You know, and to release that control to the things that I can't. You know, it's easier said than done, though.
Yeah, no, that's how. I mean, big faith, and
Yeah.
it really shows in your life. You know, it shows in my life. It shows in many other people's lives, and you know, when you do give it all to God and you do it all in His glory, man. It's the just what you get in here, man.
Yeah.
Like what we have out here, dude, burns up and withers away tomorrow, man. It honestly, yeah, it has an effect, but it won't break us to the core.
Yeah.
You know, because we have that solid foundation, you know, which is Christ. We are upon that rock, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and when you really begin to resonate in that and know what that means, you know, you instill that into your life and you walk it out day by day, play by play, and you stand on that rock and you're like, this is my home. I will not be shaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the creator, the Don Dada of the universe got my back, you know, in the most humble, in the most like purest way. You are boasting in the Lord, and it's just such a beautiful thing, man. Like, I did not expect that. You know, you didn't come from a Christian family. Like the conversations I had when I first got out of the rehab and reconnected with you, that was not where I expected this thing to go with you, bro.
Yeah.
And here you are, bro. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just beyond. My heart is full of joy, bro, and gladness, man. And you know, I'm gonna keep you in prayers. Like, it's a tough thing. You bite off more than you can chew all the time, and that's what you tell me to do. You know, hey, just bite off a little more than you can chew, and just, you know, give God the rest.
Figure it out.
And yeah, and it kind of does just kind of work together, dude. And it works together for good.
Yeah.
All things work together for good for those who love God.
Yep.
You love on God, you give it your all, you hop on opportunities that are presented, you do it with the purest heart possible, even though we are imperfect and we're gonna fail and do things with the, you know, we got a motive check and heart check all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but that's all comes in with realigning with God and actually staying connected with Him on a daily basis. Like there was a few weeks recently where I was just like, man, I felt so disconnected from God. But I said, like, in my heart, and I was like, I remember praying about it. I'm like, what's going on with me, Lord? And I just said from the bottom of my heart, I'm like, Lord, I know that I'm wavering and I can be a fool at times, and I know where I stand, but most importantly, I know where you stand. You sit upon your throne, Jesus at your right hand, and you look at me and you call me your child, and you know, come here. I'm here to bless you, you know, and I remember just hearing that from God, and that's the word that came down from that, you know, tough couple weeks that I had, and that faith, bro, it's unwavering.
Yeah.
When you acknowledge him in all your ways. I was in a dark spot, not necessarily dark, but like just felt disconnected. I'm slipping up in certain areas. I acknowledge him in all my ways, bro, and he always sets you on the right path, bro.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful thing that we have here, you know, on this earth. It's actually the most beautiful thing, because like you said, it's a weird time. There's a lot of darkness out there, a lot of misinformation. A lot of people are haters of God, lovers of selves, lovers of money and pleasure. Like, they don't want anything to do with God. And for being someone that actually walks the walk and puts all your faith is in him, it's profound, bro. Like I always say this, and I'll say it again and again, man. It's a real big blessing. And having people like you in it, you know, together in it to win it, like-minded, bro, individuals is the beauty of it. You know, the fellowship, the community, the body of Christ, man.
Yeah. And we all fall short, you know. Like,
Yeah,
I fall to the flesh too, you know, and
for sure.
And it's about repenting, bro. You know, and it's about seeking that forgiveness and getting back up and getting back on the path. We all fall short, bro.
For sure.
You know, and no sin is looked at differently, you know. So whatever it is, dude, we're human, you know, and we're corrupted and we're influenced and, you know, distracted, and it's just so easy to turn away or to just disconnect, you know. And that's why our habits are very important. Like for me, I give my first moments of the day to God, you know, like I get in that Bible immediately. And I'm like, most of the time I'm too tired to even really like understand what I'm reading,
Right.
you know, but at least like I'm there and I'm doing it, you know, and it's the habit. And then I get in the truck, I put a sermon on, and then, you know, I'm my first hour of the day is spent in that vibe, right, of the Holy Spirit and thinking about my life and bouncing it against the word, you know, and like trying to pick up messages, you know what I mean? Like that's very important for my mental health and like my routine, you know. It allows me to have conviction, you know, and to have self-awareness and to align myself that way, you know. And yeah, man, we all fall short, but it's about getting up and just getting back on the horse, you know.
Exactly.
Fall down 7, get up 8, right?
Exactly. And that's, you know, you just pretty much hit it right on the head. You know, that's pretty much what I was talking about. Like, it's been hard for me to do that in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, regardless of that, it's about looking to him and relying on him and that repentant mindset. Like, hey, I'm a do my best to turn away from this. God, give me the grace, give me the strength to turn away from this and back to you. Because we all get lost in the sauce, you know.
Yep.
Like you know, certain stresses, certain pleasures, this, that, doesn't matter what it is, dude. Everything in this world is trying to pull you away and draw you away. It tries to keep you from reading the word and from, you know, be spending time with the Lord is a big one.
Yeah.
And, you know, little by little, I just been like, you know, just getting back into it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, if you have that faith in him, he will draw you back in. And it's not that I lost my salvation or anything crazy like that. It's just, I don't like that feeling, bro. And we go, and God will put you through those little deserts and stuff like that for a reason, you know. It definitely increases my faith, and it did. You know, it definitely makes me want to cling on to him even more, you know. And that's the way it's meant to be. You
Yep.
got to have that fellowship with the Father at all times. You know, and I'm just going to keep going after it, you know.
Yep. It's like you said, it's the foundation to which everything else is built off, you know. Like if Christ is your foundation, then you know that's what we always come back to, and we're able to build off of that, you know.
Yeah.
And same with recovery. It's like your higher power has to be the foundation of your recovery, you know, and recovery has to be the foundation of your life. And then you can build off of that and do other things off of that, but this has to be the priority.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it is. It's your priorities.
Gotta get
You
your
know,
priorities straight.
you got to get your priorities straight. You know, like
Big time.
you have time, you're just not making the time,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing is like, well, you just have to do an honest 10 step really, and like do a daily inventory,
Inventory thing.
you know, and take a look like how am I actually spending my time? You know, am I on spending, how much time am I spending on social media? How much time am I, you know, doing this, doing that? Even things like, you know, whatever, like you make time to work out, right? Like you make time to meal prep, you make time to do all these things, you know, create content. Like we all have time and we all have the same amount of time, right? And so, you know, you got to cut out that time to give your first 10% to the Lord, right? It's not just your finances, it's your freaking time too. Like
Life,
yeah.
everything.
you know,
that's true.
it's about your priorities, you know. And I guarantee you if your life was on camera for 24 hours, we could pick apart the time where you could be spending it with God, you know.
For sure, 100%.
And it's, you know, I'm just using you as an example, but it's everybody.
No, it's true.
You know what I mean? It's everybody. Everybody has excuses,
That
you
should
know.
hit every believer right at home.
Yeah.
You know, that should definitely you should definitely feel the conviction from what was just said.
And it's not
Because
just
true.
not just God, right? It's exercise too.
Yeah.
Like people love that excuse too. I'm too busy,
Yeah.
right? I got too much going on. I don't have time to exercise. Oh, I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time, or the finances or whatever. It's like, no, your priorities are out of order.
Yeah,
You know, you're not prioritizing your health over your comfort.
for sure.
You know, you're prioritizing your feelings over what's necessary for your life, for your health.
I mean, you're one of the most busiest people I know, and you trained for the 100-mile run. you
Yeah, exactly. You'll find the time, bro.
know? Like,
And it's not going to be comfortable. That's the thing. You think I wanted to be out there in those late nights in the rain and, you know, running on the weekends when I could be sitting inside with my beautiful family? Like,
Yeah.
no, dude. And you do have to sacrifice. If you want things in life, you're going to have to sacrifice other things, you know? And I sacrificed time with my family to like chase some of these selfish ambitions, you know? But at the end of the day, a lot of those things, they make me better so I can show up for them, you know?
I mean,
And
you are there for them for sure.
yeah.
Like anything that comes across the table.
But you're going to have to sacrifice your comfort and you're going to have to sacrifice your feelings for the betterment of your life, you know? I mean, talk about some of the things you've sacrificed to on your journey of exercise and physical fitness over the past, how long you been on this? 3 months or something?
3 months,
Yeah.
down 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I sacrificed a lot. I mean, if anybody that knows me, you know, Bulletproof Kitchen, I'm a foodie, bro. I love my food. I love my junk food. I love
Sacrifice them carbs.
Yeah. Well, I'm still on carbs, but it's all just it's a whole different dynamic, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you gotta pretty much toss everything you knew about food
Yeah.
in the trash and put on some real nutrition game.
Yeah.
And to implement that and to put it into play, bro.
Really count your macros. and
Right.
pay attention to everything you're putting
So,
in.
like, speaking of just sacrifice, bro, you hit it on the head again, bro. I sacrificed a lot of comfort, bro.
Yeah.
You know, get around people who make you feel uncomfortable, and in a good way. And you know, that's the biggest one. I sacrifice comfort. I sacrifice comfort food. you know, and I've also sacrificed finances. Like I started prioritizing my health in the gym. Oh, you know, even past, you know, it folds over into work sometimes, you know, and I'm really happy and grateful that I work for my brother and my schedule is pretty lenient, you know, whenever I have my own jobs come in and whatever the case may be, you know, and that's the thing too. Like I had this barrier. I was like, man, I got a job, I got a this, but then you realize, okay, well, you know, you can kind of twist and work some things into a way that it all kind of works together if you really want to. I could be in that box like, hey, I got this 9 to 5, bro. Yeah, you know, I just can't be there, you know. Which sometimes it is the truth and it is the deal. You can't obviously, you know, be everywhere at once, unfortunately. But if you really want it, dude, you're gonna get it. And you know, my fitness goal is to reach 200 and get absolutely shredded, and to hold on to muscle size. So I got 20 more pounds to go.
Nice.
About actually 18, 19 now, but yeah, like that's gonna this next you know, being halfway past the goal, like it's gonna be rough, dude. But I'm a buckle down.
Yeah, because now you lost a lot of the easy weight.
That was the easy weight. A lot of it was like just excess. Like first week, I lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously a lot of that was just water weight, extra glycogen and inflammation. Like just getting your diet right. Like you'll just, you know, you'll piss away those first 5 pounds, no problem. But it's when you get down, you know, to where I'm at, you know, it's going to get a little rough, you know.
So what are you going to do? Continue to just reduce calories, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I'm going to run. Well, me and the coach are going to talk about it. I honestly haven't been the best on my diet either. So I'm going to increase the rate on which I'm applying this thing. Like instead of like 70, 85%, you know, I got to get it into the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, cut out a lot of just, you know, a lot of the BS, bro. Like I said, like I got habits of snacking and this and that are just not okay, you know. But you know, the best thing is that, you know, like I got you know the right people around me to just guide me through it and to show me, okay, you know, this, that, and it is easier. I'll tell you this right now, it is easier when you're around people who are doing the same thing.
Definitely.
It's a lot easier.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's kind of I'm getting closer to with, you know, certain some of these people like the coach and stuff, and you know, actual decent guy, bro, showed up to the grand opening.
Yep.
His support was there, man. He said he's gonna be there, and he showed up. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that, you know, I increase my respect for somebody when they reveal those attributes of just standing on what they say, bro. Where does your bond type of deal, you know? And,
Yeah.
you know, we all fall short in that too. But like when you really try and do things that you say you're going to do and making a habit of that, you know, like I'm a do this thing kind of like what you did and what I did with my business and my journey in this, you know, weight loss. Like I said, I'm going to shed some pounds and get shredded.
Yep.
I'm going to do it. And through that, the self-discovery, at first I thought you were just crazy. Honestly, I'm like, yeah, self-discovery, listen to this guy. But now that I'm actually going through the phases of that, you know, of reaching these goals, there is a lot of self-discovery to be had.
Yeah.
And God does reveal a lot about you, and you do become a better person to those around you. You know, you really do. You know, and I'm loving every single bit of it, man. But
It's good.
there's still a lot more to be sacrificed, and there's still a lot more dialing in to do. But now that I know what calories are and what this is, what that is, and what are new, you know, your micronutrients and what are, you know, superfoods and whole foods. And this kind of made my stomach feel, you know, bubbly. This is I fly through the day when I eat like this, you know, and you get dialed in that way. Like I feel great, bro.
Good.
I feel amazing, dude. And it's only gonna get better.
Yeah.
I hope, you know, God, Lord willing. But yeah, it gets better. You know, and it's kind of sometimes feel like a big fast. Like I'm denying my flesh of this and that. And I still enjoy my cheat meals and yada yada, but you know, throughout the weekdays and I'll have like one cheat meal on the weekend. You know, like throughout the weekdays I'm locked in. On the weekend I'll have one cheat meal and a little bit of snacking. But once I'm cutting that out. Like I already told myself, like, I mean, it kind of sucks barbecue season, you know what I mean? No. just came right on time, you know?
Yeah.
It's always something. But, you know, sacrifice this, sacrifice that. That's got to go. And it's really showed me how to prioritize time, too, man. It really did. It really does. You know, like, you're going to get it done. And I've, you know, before I even started, I asked God, I was like, first of all, is this the right team? You know, Sucker Free Fitness and Big Luke, are these the right people to get in with? And I got confirmation that it is, you know.
I mean, the man gets results. You could say what you want about him, but the man gets results.
He gets results, bro.
He's a beast.
He's a beast, and he's actually a decent person.
You could say whatever you want about him, but I mean, the guy knows what he's doing is in the fitness space, you know.
For sure.
That's undeniable, you know, so.
I mean, there's a reason why he's at where he's at, you know. It's growing and it's compiling and he's getting like momentum.
Yeah.
You know, and my buddy Ricky first joined, and that was kind of like my gym bro. And he joined them, and I saw the result, like his results within a couple months. It's like, bam. Nutrition, this, that, the workouts. I guess we're all working. I'm like, oh, well, there's another confirmation. You know, and honestly, like what other was in the fact that a lot of, you know, a lot of the big value is in person. People pay the same amount from across the country, give him the same amount for what I'm paying, and I get in-person workouts.
Right.
So it was just kind of a no-brainer. He lives 10 minutes from my house. He's got a dope gym at home.
It's good.
You know, he always, every time I call him, he answers the phone. You know, every single time. If not, he gets back to me like within minutes. You know, the guy stands on his business, dude. Shout out Sucker Free Big Luke, you know.
Shout out Big Luke. It's good, man. Well, yeah. I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
Grateful
bro.
to see you on the path and sticking to it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. It's about that daily grind and sticking to it and the perseverance and, you know, just pursuing something better. You know, it's about that progress, you know, and I see you and proud of you, bro.
Thanks.
And we'll touch base here soon.
Yeah. God bless you, brother.
Yeah, good to see you.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Shout out. Thank you to all those that gave their life.
Yeah.
You know, let's not forget that. You know, we're only sitting here because of those that sacrifice, and
100%.
It doesn't go unnoticed. You know, and God bless our troops that are still out there today, you know, in this crazy world and willing to make that sacrifice. So salute to all you.
Victorious we became, but never forgot where we came from. Life or death, not a game. We came to change the lane. Recovery addicts, that's the name. Give yourself a break, just one day at a time. You were born to shine, so live and let love be forever. My sister, my brother, don't give in. Please remember, the lie is dead. We do recover. Welcome home.